Good morning and welcome to Michigan Farm and Garden. I'm Jody Pollock Newsom and I'm your host. We have a great show lined up for you this morning. This morning we're going to talk to you about the sugar industry. We're also going to talk to you about ice cream, and we're going to give you a great update on the soybean industry. Stay tuned. Good morning, and again, welcome to Michigan Farm and Garden. We do have a great show lined up for you this morning. This morning, we're going to talk about some of those very important industries that we have here in our state. We certainly know that agriculture means over $90 billion economically to Michigan each year. And so I always think it's important to bring on some guests, highlight the industry, talk a little bit about some of the innovations that we have here in our state. And my first guest this morning is Ray Van Driesch. He is with Michigan Sugar, and we are going to talk about the sugar industry that we have here in our state. It certainly has a long history. It's had some challenges, it's had some opportunities for some grower involvement, grower ownership. So we're going to talk with Ray a little bit about how the industry is doing, how it really got established, what that grower involvement is, and learn a little bit more about the crop this year and what the market opportunities are. So lots of really good information, and certainly sugar is an industry we hear about, but we don't always get to talk about a lot. Then I also have with me this morning Mary Sowers. She is with Ashby Sterling Ice Cream, and it's June. Certainly we know June is Dairy Month, and certainly ice cream is important when we look at the dairy industry. So we're going to talk a little bit about the company, we're going to talk a little bit about ice cream, and then she's actually going to come back and join me for the recipe segment, and we are going to use ice cream to make pancakes. Very, very easy and absolutely delicious. So you'll want to make sure that you get to hear that recipe, and you can go ahead and try that for yourself. Then I also have with me on the show Keith Reinhold. He is from the Michigan Soybean Promotion Committee, and we are going to talk about some of the new uses. You know, we certainly talk about soybeans. We know how important they are. We know that they're used a lot as the livestock feed. We can tell from the sponsorship and in the pieces that we get there. We want to make sure you get that farm experience, but there are a lot of other ways that we can use soy and other crops that we have here in our state to make renewables and to make bioproducts. So Keith is going to talk to us a little bit about that and then share with us a story of Pictured Rocks, of what they do and how they're going green and how they're using bio. So folks, it really is going to be a great show. Make sure you stay tuned, and we will be back with our first guest right after the Michigan Farm and Garden Fact of the Week.
It's time for the Michigan Farm and Garden Fact of the Week, brought to you by the Corn Marketing Program of Michigan.
Soybeans have more than a $1.5 billion economic impact, resulting in nearly 7,000 jobs within the state. They are grown on more than 10,000 farms in more than half of Michigan's counties. Soybeans are used in candles, shampoos, makeup, lotions, chain oils, ink, lubricants, spray foam insulation, crayons, teddy bears, vegetable oil, and soy milk, just to name a few items. For more information, go to michigansoybean.org.
Corn touches your life every day. With over 600 items in the store that contain corn, it's America's renewable resource. There are amazing new products made from corn, like comforters, clothes, corn stoves, dinnerware, and of course, ethanol.
Corn, America's renewable resource, powering industry, feeding America, and fueling the future.
Thanks to Michigan's corn farmers, the future is bright for innovative products made from corn. To learn more about how corn touches your life, visit our website.
And welcome back. We are back with Ray Van Driesch of Michigan Sugar. Ray, welcome to the show. It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
Well, and I'm going to have you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the industry.
All right, thanks, Jody. Ray Van Driesch. I'm Director of Community and Government Relations for Michigan Sugar, and have a long background in farming. As I have farmed actually most of my whole life until just about 7 years ago. and had the opportunity to go work full-time for Michigan Sugar and enjoying my job very much.
Well, and certainly when we look at a company like Michigan Sugar and you look at the grower involvement, I'm going to have you tell us a little bit about that, but a long-standing tradition and a really strong company.
Yes, as a matter of fact, sugar beets have been grown in Michigan since the late 1800s, and Michigan Sugar is actually over 100 years old. We celebrated our 100th anniversary back in 2006, and but more importantly, we're a grower-owned cooperative, and this is our 10th year as a cooperative, so we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary this year as a grower-owned cooperative. We have about 1,000 farm families that own Michigan Sugar, so it's a great thing for those families and for the communities where we all live.
Well, and I think certainly, too, a great story when we look at agriculture and the importance of agriculture for those farm families to step up and take over the company 10 years ago and keep that beet industry strong.
That's right, and at one time we had some problems within the market where the prices were low. There was both Michigan Sugar and Monitor Sugar Company were in the state at one time. There are now two companies that have been merged together just in Michigan Sugar Company. But one of the reasons why we had the opportunity to buy the company as growers is because there was not a good enough returns at that time. So stockholders wanted to sell companies, which really, if the growers would not have stepped up and bought the companies, we would have lost the industry here in Michigan. So we bought it as growers. It's worked out well, and we're very happy and very proud that we did.
Well, and too, you know, sometimes when you look at corporate, they're used to certain returns on investment, but grower returns, you know, even though prices go up, input costs go up. So, you know, you guys are used to a little tighter margins too.
That's exactly right, and I think one of the things that's taken as a result of the transition as a result of the cooperative is growers have learned what the business side is of the industry, and the company has learned more about the grower side. And it makes a great combination. And growers have been very willing to reinvest in making our factories some of the most efficient in the United States. And I think that's going to do a lot for our next generation.
Well, and let's talk a little bit about that. You know, one thing we've talked about this year has certainly been the weather. We've talked about crops. We know some crops are in pretty tough shape. How do our sugar beets look this year?
We're actually in very good shape. And as a matter of fact, we're probably 3 weeks to a month ahead of time as far as what our normal growth would be for the sugar beet crop. We had a very early start. We were able to start the first beets being planted on March 15th, which is just unheard of. And actually, as early as the crop was planted, we have found that we didn't lose it to frost or freezes, which you may have thought they would have in March. Mm-hmm. But the crop is advancing well. We have in a lot of cases row closure already. And as a result of that, of getting such an early start, we're looking at the possibility of a very early start for harvest. So.
Well, and let's talk a little bit about that, because sugar beets are unique as far as the harvest and the processing.
Yes, and unlike other commodities where wheat, corn, and soybeans, they will mature down, and then you can take them into the elevator and you store them. They're a dry product, and you can put them in storage, leave them there for a very long time. Where sugar beets is a perishable crop, and they're also a crop that doesn't have a maturity date. So if you plant them early, you're going to have a longer growing season, and they will continue to put tonnage on and more sugar until the day you harvest them. And if you don't harvest them until November 1st, you have the opportunity for more tonnage and more sugar content. But we do need to get them in and get them sliced, and because they will spoil. So part of the process is we have a campaign that allows us to, after we've harvested these beets, get them sliced, and we try and get them sliced by March 1st. So some of these beets are sitting in piles for a long time.
Wow. And I know you guys have done a great job looking at the science, the technology, and store them and keep them in great shape as long as you can. But it is different than I think when people think of the row crops.
Yes, it is. It's something you really have to handle and manage according to the weather, because they are exposed to the elements, yes.
Well, and certainly when we look at sugar, I mean, that's one of those markets that, let's talk about what is that market? What are some of those opportunities?
And one of the things that's unusual about the sugar market is that most other commodities, we have enough commodities in the U.S. that we have to export those commodities. With sugar, it's just the opposite. We don't produce enough to meet all of our consumption demands. And so there is actually, in the last couple of years, over 3 million tons of sugar that's been imported into the United States. And as a matter of fact, currently the United States is the largest importer of sugar in the world. We have over 40 countries that have a TRQ that are allowed to bring sugar into the United States. In addition, Mexico is a wide open border now. Mexico can ship all the sugar they want up into the U.S. And in the last few years, they've shipped over 1 million tons of sugar into the U.S.
Wow. Well, you know, I don't think people always realize the importance of trade agreements, the importance of setting up your protocols, but it really is a world market, and certainly sugar is different, as you're saying.
That's correct. And one of the things is because of the opportunity for so many to ship into the U.S., if we happen to have a big crop here, which we have a potential for this year, our market can be supplied easily. And so it's something that we have to try and keep a very good or very tight balance on, especially now with Mexico being the wild card and no restrictions of sugar being shipped in.
Well, anyway, if there are folks that go out there and say, I want to look for Michigan sugar, certain brand, certain place, what do I need to look at to buy sugar and support our state's growers?
Well, thank you, Jody. That's a great, it's a great thing. We want to see as much support for our local industry as we can. One of the things I want to mention is that we're in 21 counties, and as far as production, but we impact the whole state, and our total impact to the state of Michigan, we have a direct economic impact to the cooperative of about $500 million, and so that brings back to the state about 1.2 billion.
Wow.
And but as a matter of fact, I lost track of the question.
Oh, what do we look for? Michigan sugar, Pioneer, what label do I want to buy at the store?
Thank you. Big Chief and Pioneer Sugar
Big Chief
is our
and Pioneer.
traditional brands. So if you see those brands out there, make sure you. And another thing I ask is that if you see cane sugar, you're not supporting locally, leave that bag, go buy beet sugar.
Buy beet sugar. There you go. Right. Thank you. We will do that. Folks, get out there, make sure you look for your Michigan sugar, look for that beet sugar, and support the industry we have here in our state. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this message.
The Cherry Marketing Institute wants you to know about tart cherries. Cherry's red color comes from powerful antioxidants. Available year-round, it's easy to incorporate cherries into your daily diet. Visit choosecherries.com.
Michigan's 1,000 apple growers take pride in producing delicious apples from one generation to the next. From the Great Lakes come great flavors. Look for locally grown Michigan apples.
Have Jody speak at your next agricultural event. Go to jodylive.com.
And welcome back. We are back with Mary Sowers of Ashby Sterling Ice Cream. There we go. Good morning.
Good morning, Jody. How are you today?
I am good. It's so good to have you back.
Well, I'll tell you, I always enjoy it. Anytime you want me to come, I'll be here.
And we'll talk ice cream and dairy, and because it's still June is Dairy Month, so we're still celebrating.
That's correct. June is Dairy Month.
Well, I'm going to have you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll talk about Ashby's Sterling Ice Cream, and then talk about some cool flavors and some things you guys have been working on.
Sounds great. Well, I myself started in the dairy industry in 1976. I started working at a small dairy in the Pontiac area and have had a succession of jobs within the dairy industry. And now I'm working for Ashby Sterling Ice Cream and have been so for the last 5 years. A little bit about Ashby's. Ashby's is a family-owned company. It's owned by 4 brothers and a sister. It's a Michigan company. Our ice cream is manufactured up in Ludington, and it's just an absolutely delicious product.
Well, and I've had some of it.
I know you have.
I know you have. I am a good dairy supporter, especially ice cream. I eat it all, but especially in the summer, ice cream is just amazing. So, well, and one of the things, that we talk about, and we've talked about before, ice cream. I mean, you go to the store, you see all these flavors. How do you guys figure out what's the new flavor, or what are some new things we should try, or those kinds of things? Because there could be a lot of, and there are a lot of off-the-wall kind of flavors out there.
Oh, there is a lot of off-the-wall. One of the things I want to mention about Ashby's is we are available only in 3-gallon tubs of ice cream, which would be served, for example, in restaurants and ice cream parlors. And those parlors also do some hand packing, and I have some hand-packed pints here that shows how they can take it home. Because our ice cream, you cannot find it in a retail grocery store. It's only available through the food institutional. But you mentioned about our new flavors. What we do is we have a flavor day, and traditionally we hold it in the fall. Actually, this year it's going to be a little bit later. It's going to be December 1st. And what we do is we invite all of our retailers to come in and sample some new flavors. And I see up on the screen they've got some of our new flavors that came out for this year. What we do is we just invite individuals in and we sample different ice creams. We get some suggestions from our actual venues of what they would like to see. And that's how we come up with them. In fact, one of them is carrot cake this year. And it's a flavor that everybody goes, carrot cake ice cream. But let me tell you, it's absolutely delicious.
Oh, yeah?
Absolutely delicious. And we have a raspberry rendezvous, which is a black raspberry ice cream with a real thick ripple of chocolate. And then it's got black raspberry filled dark chocolate cups inside. And I'll tell you, it is absolutely delicious. So that's just two of the new flavors that we have this year, but the other ones are up on the screen.
Well, and I have to say, too, as I went through and read the graphic and stuff, when I got to that raspberry rendezvous, I'm like, oh, that's so for me. So,
oh, let me tell you, it is great. And there's another one. If you like chocolate, it's 3D chocolate. And I'll tell you, that one is out of this world. It's our wonderful creamy chocolate ice cream. And then it's got a chocolate soft butter fudge and then big hunks of chocolate in it. So that's definitely a chocolate in 3 dimensions. It's wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
There you go. When you're ready for that big, I guess,
betcha.
There you go, chocolate infusion. Well, and I think that's one of the nice things too when we look at ice creams, especially now. There's so much diversity, so many different flavors, and you know, I know one of the things that you and I just talked about, looking at all these different flavors. I have a little one that happens to have food allergies, and that's one nice thing that you guys have is information right out there.
Correct. What Jody has here is this is one of our flavor tags. And the flavor tags that we supply our ice cream outlets, it identifies Ashby's as the brand. It will identify the flavor. The next line tells exactly what that flavor is, as far as the toffee fudge she has here is a coffee NSA, which means no sugar added ice cream, and it's rippled with a butter fudge. But then the allergy information that Jody's talking about is the very final line down here on the bottom, and that has allergy information that will tell you whether it has eggs or wheat or nuts, any type of thing like that. Also, we supply to our retailers, and this is something else that would be available, is an allergy chart, and it actually lists all of the flavors of ice cream, and then it tells across the top if it has eggs or wheat or tree nuts or soy, because you'd be surprised how many of the actual inclusions, like the brownie pieces or the pie crust, has some of these things that you might not necessarily think are there.
Well, and Mary, we so appreciate that, and I appreciate that information. The time goes fast.
Oh, yeah.
But you're going to come back. We're going to do a recipe.
Correct.
We're going to talk more about Ashby's and how to get ice cream into recipes and be able to use it then more than just sitting down and eating the container.
It's not just for dessert anymore.
There you go. Folks, stay tuned. We'll be back right after this message.
This hog is head over hoof for meal made from U.S. soybeans. Now, one hog isn't that impressive, but suppose we add another, and another, and another. Before long, you've got billions of hungry customers around the world all clamoring for the same thing. Our soybeans. Learn more about the billion-dollar appetite of animal agriculture at BeyondTheElevator.com. Brought to you by America's soybean farmers and their checkoff.
And welcome back. We are back with Keith Reinhold of the Michigan Soybean Promotion Committee. Keith, welcome back.
Hi, Jody. I always enjoy being here and looking forward to this program and maybe another one even.
Oh, yeah. Well, and you know, we always seems like we talk so much production stuff. And so I'm going to have you just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and the Soybean Promotion Committee. And then we're going to jump into some of the new stuff that's going on.
Well, thank you. We normally sit here, and I appreciate that your audience is not all production agriculture, but probably anyone that watches has some ties to agriculture. Well, we all do, because we eat.
We do.
And normally we sit here and I talk about research because that's my area of expertise, but I thought it might be of interest to bring up another aspect that we do, and that would be market development. We fund through the checkoff program considerable work along those lines. And I like to classify two different things under market development. First of all, you have to have research to develop the product. Well, that's the easy part. How do you get the product introduced into the marketplace? And that's kind of what we're working with. And back in 2004 in the Farm Bill, the USDA said, well, we would like to provide some incentives to get these bio-based, and soy has a lot of bio-based products, these bio-based products introduced into the marketplace. So then there was something formed called a Federal Bio-Based Procurement Program. This is a program that if you're a federal entity, and we've got a couple examples, well, one good example coming up, but if you're a federal entity, you have to, but there's no teeth in it, buy a bio-based product if it's price and performance competitive. So we went to the Upper Peninsula, and perhaps we can bring a few slides up here. We went to the Upper Peninsula, and they call that UP, but I like to think that's the abbreviation for uniquely pristine.
Well, there you
I
go.
love
It
to
is
go to the
beautiful.
UP. Most of us do. But anyhow, there's an entity up there called Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore, and they're one who went full force into the Federal Bio-Based Procurement Program. The facilities manager, Chris Case. So we have a few slides, and you know, picture's worth 1,000 words, so we'll show these rather quickly. But one of the slides that we have up there now is what this allows is product standardization. In that if the old system, when you had a lot of the petro products, you had to have very specific things. And if you're able to get the bio-based products, one thing will do many things. So you can standardize and have less of an inventory. Another slide that we have shows some of the products. And this is pretty fine, and people aren't going to remember it. You always hesitate to put these type of things up there. But these are just lists of the soy bio-based products that Pictured Rocks uses. So I won't go over them. People can read them as well as I. But the next slide will help us give a little better idea of the application of these products. So the next slide we have is biodiesel. And we had heard about it, you know, of course you worked at ethanol a number of years, and these are all bio products. And biodiesel is made from the soybean oil, and it can be burned in a regular diesel engine. So Pictured Rocks jumped on that very early and fueled all their equipment with a biodiesel blend. By blend, I mean there is some petroleum in it. It's not 100% bio. So that would just be an example of one product. Another example of picture we can pull up is one on what we call total loss oils. By total loss oils, I mean you mix them with gas. The gas burns. Where does it go? It goes up in the air. It's in the environment. So we have two-cycle engine oil for like the snowmobiles that's for use up there. Another example that we're pulling up would be another example of total loss oils. And this would be something called, we call it soy bar chain oil, because this is, chainsaws are total loss oils also. And when you use those, why, it's gone again. So you mix it with your gasoline. So last thing we have up, Jody, and I'm doing all the talking. You're going to have to ask me.
You're doing good.
All
You're
right,
doing
all right. Is that we like to make people aware of this, the promotion. So when we did this activity with Pictured Rocks, our goal was to show people that it actually works. The biggest perception out there is on a bio-based product is that it doesn't work as well and it's way too expensive. Well, people say, does it cost more? And I say, yes, it does, because if it didn't, it wouldn't be the alternative. It would be the main thing. So anyway, that's a little explanation just very quickly. And what we're working with in a uniquely pristine environment in the Upper Peninsula. Pictured Rocks has been wonderful in working with us. And I think I'm maybe going to be on another show following, and we can talk about some more. Maybe at that time, we could even mention this food versus fuel thing.
Yeah.
That's a concern.
And that's important, and as we talk about that, you know, we look at big crops, because I think we just want to set the record straight and let people know there's been a lot of work looking at what are the new markets, what are the new uses, but what crop is available.
Well, and I know this is true for corn as well as soys, because they're two of the major large produced crops across the Midwest. And when you use a component of those, and I'll use soybeans, when you use the oil to make a bio-based product, you have the meal. There's 80% of that soybeans, the meal. The meal feeds the animals as a source of protein. So if you get more oil, you have more protein to feed more animals. So it's not, we can get into that a little more, but anyway, I just wanted people to be aware that we do a number of things agronomic in nature, but new market development, and you need to research to develop those markets, but you need to penetrate those markets, and that's a difficult thing to do.
It is. And Keith, I appreciate you being here and sharing with me and the viewers. Certainly, when we look at markets like this, you need to have somebody out there like Pictured Rocks. So the bio program, to get some of those government entities to use the products, it shows how good the products work, and it's great for the environment, and it's good for the economy as well. So thank you for sharing that story.
All right, Jody, thank you.
Folks, make sure you stay tuned. We're going to be back and share with you a wonderful recipe using ice cream. Hi, I'm Jody. Corn is America's renewable resource. It can be used to fuel your vehicle and heat your home. Corn is grown in abundance in the state of Michigan, and it is a great alternative to foreign oil when it comes to heating your home. In fact, you can install a corn heater, furnace, or boiler in your own home. These work much the same as conventional furnaces, but they use Michigan-grown corn. By using corn to heat our homes, we're creating a more secure future for everyone. Select Michigan. It's good for you, the grower, and the economy. And welcome back. We are back with Mary Sowers of Ashby Sterling Ice Cream. Mary, welcome back, and this is pretty exciting, cooking with ice cream.
Oh, you know, people think that ice cream is just for dessert, and it's not. You can do a lot of different things with ice cream in the kitchen as far as cooking. And one of the recipes I came up with is ice cream pancakes. And it's a super simple recipe, everybody. Just 2 basic ingredients, ice cream and a complete type pancake mix. And what I mean by complete type is that is the type of ice cream, or excuse me, a pancake mix that you just traditionally mix with water. What you do is you take your ice cream and you melt it. Leave it on the counter, let it melt, or if you're in a hurry, you can put it in the microwave, just don't boil it, and just let it melt. And just mix it up, then you just cook your pancakes like you automatically would. Now the ones I have here are butter pecan pancakes. And at our house on birthdays, you get to select what you want for a meal for your special birthday. This is my husband's favorite. He picks butter pecan pancakes, except there's a little twist to it. When I put the batter on the griddle, he likes me to slice banana on there. And then when you flip it over, then you've got butter pecan banana pancakes, and it tastes like Mom's banana bread. It's wonderful. And I have here today some of Michigan-made pure maple syrup that I brought to put on our pancakes for today. But you know, I mentioned butter pecan ice cream. You can basically use any ice cream if you want to use strawberry or black cherry or even the chocolate type ice creams you can use. And you just again, melt the ice cream, mix it up, and away you go. These are also wonderful when they're cool. If you want to store them in the refrigerator, you can make like little sandwiches out of them and put some jam or jelly in between, some homemade preserves of some sort, and I'll tell you what, they make a delicious, delicious snack.
Well, and I'm even thinking as you're running out the door and you don't have time for breakfast, and what do? Folks at home, you know you can get this recipe as always online at MichiganFarmandGarden.com or write to Michigan Farm and Garden Recipes, P.O. Box 461, Williamston, Michigan 48895. If you want this recipe, send me a self-addressed stamped envelope and I will get it right back out in the mail to you. And Mary, great ideas. They look absolutely wonderful. And we're going to have you back here next week.
Correct.
Because we're going to get ready to start celebrating the fact that July
is Ice Cream Month.
So we'll be all set, we'll be ready, and we're going to talk a little bit more about soybeans and the soy industry. Folks, we'll see you back here next weekend.
Bye.
Bye-bye.